that astounds and offends.
Yeah.
Wisdom that astounds and offends. I oftentimes say to our preach brothers that we have not preached or the teacher have not taught unless they say something or do something that offend people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's why you need thick skin and know for sure whose side you're on.
Yeah.
The other breakdown on our lesson is what?
The wisdom of Jesus.
The wisdom of Jesus. The wisdom of Jesus. And the other breakdown was what?
Wisdom that amazes.
Wisdom that amazes. Our lesson comes to us from Mark, the 6th chapter, and just 6 verses. Mark chapter 6, verses 1 through 6. But they are some powerful verses and packed with much wisdom and knowledge, information. I want you to begin on the board by Jesus offended people by what he did and what he said. By what he did and what he said. Jesus, the second thing, Jesus is rejected in his own country.
That's right.
The third thing, he is despised. See, rejected and despised are a little different. Some folks just hate to see you coming. And the book said that Christ is despised in his own country. Is that right?
That's right.
When you go back around some of your people, even those of you that was in school with people, and they see that the Lord has blessed you, they become resentful of you because you're not like they are. See? And so in this lesson today, you notice that in Mark chapter 6, it says here in verse 1 that Jesus is more or less, he went out from thence. He went out from thence and came into his own country. And his disciples followed. If you're a leader, you ought to have some followers.
Right, Pastor.
I say if you're a leader, you ought to have some followers. And there are all kinds of leaders. The leaders, drug users got followers. Drug pushers got followers. Is that right? There's somebody who want to be like you. And therefore, we need to make sure that whatever we do, that it is pleasing in the eyesight of God.
That's right, Pastor.
And so he says here that his disciples followed him. Wherever the preacher is preaching, there ought to be somebody there with him.
That's right. That's right.
There ought to be somebody who represents and can be a witness that what he's saying is true.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
See, amen it only says that what you're saying, I'm in agreement with it.
Right.
This is not a Catholic church. This is not a church where you're supposed to be quiet. You ought to make some noise in the church. Psalms 100 said, make a joyful noise unto the Lord, for he is good. And then Psalm 107 said, let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he has redeemed from the hands of the enemies. And then he says, if the enemies had their way, they would have destroyed us.
That's right.
And so when we start reminiscing of where we once was and where we are now, we got so much to thank God for. I was thinking this morning, it looked like to me that we ought to be running to the church rather than running from it. I called at least 3 members yesterday and nobody answered the phone. But yet they said they're scared to come out.
Yeah.
Is that right? How many excuses are we going to continue to give to God? And yet we go everywhere else but to the house of God.
That's right.
Hezekiah, the Lord said to Isaiah, go tell Hezekiah to do what? Set his house in order. For he's going to die and not live. If there were ever a time that we ought to be trying to get right or live right, it ought to be right now. Because the writing is on the wall. Time is not as long as it has been. And time is winding up. Is that right? And so he says here, and when the Sabbath day was come, Jesus began to teach. Right on the board, that Jesus' ministry consists of basically 3 areas. And as I told you before, it was teaching, preaching, and healing. Teaching, preaching, and healing. It's a little different today. Most of our church spend very little time on teaching. But we spend 2 hours in choir rehearsal. Is that right?
That's right.
On Sunday morning, we listen to all the announcements. We listen to the choir sing. We listen to the deacon pray. But they want the preacher to preach 15 minutes or teach 15 minutes, and then they want to go. But if you're going to be strong, you got to have the teach word.
That's right. That's the only Bible
See.
teach word.
And so Jesus' ministry consisted of teaching, preaching, and healing.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that Jesus couldn't do no more work, miracles in his hometown? Is because of unbelief.
Right.
Yeah.
See, and people have a tendency to doubt those of us. You know, sometimes people think more out yonder, more of your person or brother or sister than you do yourself.
That's right, Pastor.
He says the prophet is not without honor, saving his own town, hometown. Is that right?
That's right.
And so he says here in verse 2, and when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue. And many hearing him were astonished. Jesus, Barbara, taught with power. He taught with power. He taught with power. He taught with clarity. And he taught with understanding. He taught in the synagogue. And many hearing him were astonished, saying, from whence has this man these miracles? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty work are worked by his hand? Jesus did many miracles. He did many miracles. And you may raise that and write this on the board. In Mark, see, in Mark chapter 6, Mark chapter 6, Mark chapter 6, verse 45 through 56. walked on the water.
45.
Yeah, 45 through 56. Jesus walked on the water. Now notice that he did not walk in the water, but he walked on the water. Is that right? Number 2. Mark 8, verse 1 through 13. Jesus fed 4,000 people on a little bit. Yeah. Mark 8, verses 22. Jesus heals a blind man who sees men like trees walking. He's a miracle worker. Mark 8, 34 through 38, Jesus says, you must deny yourself and take a cross to follow him. You must deny. See, self sometimes get in the way of us doing for Christ what we ought to do. We'll say quickly, I got to look out for myself. I got to use some common sense. But the Lord never intended for us to use common sense against him.
That's right.
Write somewhere on the board over on the other side. The virus is serious. The virus is serious. It ain't nothing to play with. However, Jesus is serious. Do I think more of the virus than I do the Lord? None of us laid our PIN number down to the bank. We protected. What about our souls? And we need to, that's why the prophet Isaiah, the Lord says to him, go and tell Hezekiah to set his house in order because time is winding up. He's going to die and not live. You and I may die before tomorrow morning. But we ought to make sure that our houses are in order. Not exactly where we live, but our hearts ought to be right.
That's right, Pastor.
See, when you and I die, everything going back from whence it came. Our arms, our legs, our eyes, we going back to the dust. But man was nothing until God stooped over and blew the breath of life in him. And then James Weldon Johnson says, then he became a living soul. Is that right? And so when this life is over, some glad morning when this life is over, we're going to fly away somewhere to be at rest. Down here we're laboring. We're being rejected. We're being talked about on every hand, but on the other side, see, on the other side look way better than over here. No, you ain't got to worry about nobody breaking in on you. Mark 9, 14 through 29. Jesus heals an epileptic that the disciples failed to heal. He's a healer. Epileptic. EPILEP. TIC. See, they had brought this man, they had brought this boy to Jesus' disciples, and they themselves could not heal the boy. And they wanted to know why. Why is it that we couldn't do it? Jesus said, this don't come by, but only by fasting and prayer.
Right.
See, you got to have faith. Is that right? Mark 10, verses 1 through 12. Mark 10, verses 1 through 12. Jesus teaching on divorce. I said Sunday, when the last time that we've had a wedding here? When the last time we had a wedding at Memorial, New Zion, Eastern Star? When the last time you've been to a wedding at some of our churches here in the city? It used to be every month or so somebody was getting married. People ain't thinking about getting married now. We looking for somebody we can shack with and be happy doing that. And the book says there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. And see, he says, after God joined them together in holy matrimony, he says, you are to multiply and replenish the earth. Who is it that's having babies now? Married folks ain't having no babies. It's these girls running the streets. Babies after babies. And who end up having the real baby? Grandmama in most cases. Is that right? When grandmother ought to be rocking in her chair and in the cool of the day, she got to run after little Ray. Yeah. And so time is winding up. The next thing, Matthew, or rather Mark 10, verse 17 to 31. The rich get into heaven is like a camel. See, a camel can't walk through a needle eye. See, Mark 10, verse 17 to 31. The rich getting into heaven is like a camel. And finally, Mark 10, verse 35 to 45. James and John want to be at Jesus' right hand. James and John. James and John wants to be at Jesus' right hand. Look at it. Somebody read Mark 10, verse 35. See, listen to this. When you don't do it right, you cause other folks to become angry with you. Watch this, read.
And James and John, the son of Zebedee, come unto him, saying, Master, we would that thou shouldest do for us whatsoever we shall desire.
Now what do you think the other mothers
Right.
and the other family gonna think?
Right.
See, read.
And he said unto them, What will ye that I should do for you? They said unto him, Grant us that we may sit one on the right hand and the other on the left hand in thy glory. But Jesus said unto them, You know not what ye ask. Can ye drink of the cup that I drink of, and be baptized with the baptism?
See, some people, I told you, I believe Saturday or Sunday, a woman was teaching her son how to drive on a parking lot in Toledo. Now she's already drunk and trying to teach her son how to drive. He ran over the fence and tore the sign down. And then she want to give us $200 and $100 per month. And I told her, committed, no, we don't want that.
Right.
Turn it over there. I can't help it if she ain't got no insurance. How many people do you know have buried sick folk, dead folk, with good intention, but when the funeral director put them in the ground, they don't go back to pay him no more. That's why when they pull that dead person out on that slab or present him to you, the money has to be paid before the rest of us see that body. They ain't gonna put that body in the ground until ain't gonna be no funeral. until they have made sure that the insurance is valid. See, you can have insurance, but if you haven't had it, then that's what they call 2 years of contestable period.
Oh, yeah.
You find out you got cancer, you say, oh, I'm going to give me some insurance. And you die a year later, that insurance ain't no good.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
Brother Howard was going to prison now, and he ran in and joined the church, and Miss Colbert, Pet Monsenberg, said, Howard done brought his black so-and-so in church because he going to prison. See, there are some people who run to the church, but run only trying to impress God.
Oh, Lord, it's true.
Okay.
Read on something.
That I drink of and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. And they said unto him, We can. And Jesus said unto them, Ye shall indeed drink of the cup that I drink of, and with the baptism that I am baptized with shall ye be baptized. But to sit on my right hand and on my left hand, it is not mine to give.
See, listen to this. When Michael is driving my car, Mike don't have the right to let Harris drive it.
That's right.
I gave it to Michael.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
Doesn't matter but that's your sister, and he said, watch my house till I come back, and the sister come in and want to take a pot or pan, you don't have that right to let her take it.
That's right.
We tell her sister come back. They left you in charge. And so what goes on, what goes in and comes out, you are responsible for.
Right.
See, read on something.
But it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared. And when the 10 heard it, they began to be much displeased.
When the 10 disciples heard what these 2 boys had asked, they got mad. Indignation. Read.
And when the 10 heard it, they began to be much displeased with James and John. But Jesus called them to him and said unto them, Ye know not that which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them.
See, sometimes we ask for things that we know we can't handle.
Right, Pastor. Right.
See, you want to use the car, but can you handle? See,
That's right.
keys come with responsibility. Being grown come with responsibility.
That's right.
And so we have to teach our sons and daughters that don't try to get grown too fast.
Right. Good job.
But I'm glad that I'm where I am now. But there was a time in my life I wanted to be grown.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that being grown comes with responsibility.
Right, Pastor.
House note, gas bill, milk bill. Is that right?
I know you.
I ain't never seen a generation eat as much cereal as these people do. All through my life coming up, I didn't eat no cereal. Carolyn, I eat rabbit, squirrel, and possum, and coon. Leftover beans for breakfast. When I left home, we left home with a full stomach. How many children go to school homeward today?
I know you're right.
And I done got food stamps for the child at home, but now they're gonna eat at the school free. That's what they call double dipping. See, and ain't nobody got no business being home these days. A lot of food is floating around. There's a truck that's parked not too far from my church every week. The government set that big truck there. They give out potatoes, they give out onion, they give out the pork steaks, and they give out oranges and apple, prune, and all of that stuff. And then I don't want people coming knocking on the door of Eastern Star Memorial in New Zion talking about, do you have any bread? This ain't no bread church. I don't want them to think that they can just come up to the church and get a meal and then go on about their business. I want them to know that this is a word church where if you stay around long enough, you can get more than what you ask for.
That's right. You don't get
Is that right?
That's right.
And so, as we get ready to close, and Bobby may go, yeah, as we get ready to close, thank you, Sally. Jesus, here Jesus, they were saying, who does he think that he is? That is a carpenter who worked right here with us. There was jealousy among the people because of Jesus. Now, again, let me remind you that if you're not living like you ought to, if you're living like you ought to, you're gonna make somebody jealous of you. Why you ride like you ride, and why you dress like you dress, why you do the thing that, because some people had already made you a failure before you start. There are some people who want you to fail. They look for you to fail. They pray for you to fail. And so Jesus says here that they said to him, again, they were saying, how could Jesus be anyone special?
Right.
See, they knew his family. They knew his family. But in verse 6 of the lesson, but Jesus said unto them, what? A prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kindreds, and his own house. I'm sorry to bust your bubble. Don't think everybody love you. Don't think everybody proud of you because you're not doing this and that. See, when they see you smiling, when they see you doing what's right, they become jealous of you.
Oh yeah, Pastor.
And if you live right, you won't get too many invitations. And I thank God every day that some invitation I don't get. See? And so, his own house, his own family, they rejected him. Read John 7:5. They rejected Jesus. John 7 and verse 5. They rejected your Lord and my Savior.
John 7 and 5. For neither did his brothers believe in him.
His brothers, his own brothers, didn't believe in him. And yet they came up with him. They seen him. But they didn't believe in him. They didn't believe that he was doing what he was doing. Read on.
For neither did his brothers believe in him. Then Jesus said unto them, my time is not yet come, but your time is already ready. The world cannot hate you, but me it hated.
The world is not happy to see you going on in spite of this epidemic. They want you to stay at home. And listen, they said that churches closed down in March. And some churches won't open up until September. You mean to tell me you going in and sit in a house from March to September? If you're driving along the highway and take your feet off of the accelerator, you're driving 50 miles an hour, but you take your foot off of the accelerator, that car gonna slow down.
That's right.
And I'm afraid that when this is over, if it gets over, that some of the people that were once faithful members in church won't be back no more until they're brought in the casket. Are you with me? See, it was designed for us not to be. He said, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. See, where there is unity, there is strength. Somebody needs to be encouraged that hold on, things will get better.
That's right, Pastor.
Hold on. That's why Psalm 35 says, weeping endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. It ain't gonna be this way always.
That's right.
No, it ain't gonna be. But listen to this now. It got to get worse before it get better.
That's right.
And so you and I ask the question as the prophet Habakkuk did, oh Lord, how long shall I cry? how long shall you show me all of this fight? You're talking about in Chicago a few weeks ago, 100 and some people were shot. This past week, right at 70 some people were shot. Right here in Buffalo, a number of people were shot.
That's right, Shepherd.
It ain't gonna get no better. It's got to get worse before it gets better. See, you go to the doctor and your arm is fractured. Sometimes they have to break it to reset.
That's right, Pastor.
Is that right?
That's right.
And we haven't seen nothing yet. God sent, thank you, something. God sent, in the book of Exodus, God sent 10 plagues. Lice, water turning into blood, frogs, locusts, and lice and all that. He sent 10 plagues trying to get the people's attention. He allowed Noah to preach 120 years. One sermon pleading with people to change their life. And they were steady fitting and dancing. And when the rain came, here comes a woman with a baby under her arm and knocking on the door and trying, hey, Noah, let us in. Noah said, God got the key and gone. You can't come in. You've had your chance. And this is the time where we all ought to be getting right with God, because time is winding up.
That's right, Pastor.
Mike, tell them you're ready. Yeah, time is winding up. You know, you don't have no promise that you're going to be here tomorrow. No. So Jesus could do no mighty work there. He could do no matter what, because of unbelief. Verse 6 said, and he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went round about the village teaching. He marveled because of their unbelief. See, unbelief. Marvel here means that Jesus was completely astonished and amazed at Nazareth's reaction to him. Looked like to me they would have been happy to see homeboy. Is that right? Can't think of the boy name that died a little bit before Mr. Glover died and buried out there at the cemetery where she is.
What's that guitarist's name?
Some people are still going out there looking at the cemetery, looking at his grave. That's my homeboy. Looked like they would have been excited about Jesus. Rick James. But this is why Rick James, I don't get Rick James' mother was there.
No, you're right.
But we get all excited about the wrong thing. Is that right? And so Jesus marveled at them because of their reaction to him. His teaching, they were offended at his teaching. And his miracles that he performed. Now he says he was not surprised at the fact of the people unbelief, but how they could reject him while claiming to know all about him. How can we claim that I'm a child of God, that I love the church, that I love people, and don't even want to be around people? Yeah. I'm a people person. I want to be around people. I got to hunt up people sometimes to be with. I want to be by myself. You ain't thinking right. Yeah. It's good to be with people, but you got to have people on the same page, on the same level. You ever been with a drunk? What the drunk thinking about, talking about, don't interest you, and you soon get tired of him. And those of us that's been around drunks, I had drunks in my family. And if you've been married to a drunk don't want to get in your face as a wife until he get drunk. Then he want to tell you I love you. What about when you were sober? And so we are living in a time where people are doing their own thing rather than doing it God's way.
That's right, Pastor.
Do it God's way and you'll be better. Let me close with this. Notice that Matthew 9:35, read that. The outcome Jesus visited Nazareth. See, if they don't hear you, shake the dust from your feet and go on somewhere else. All right?
And he sat down and called the 12 and said unto them.
And Jesus sat down and called who?
The 12.
Called the 12.
And said unto them, if any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all, and servant of all. And he took a child and set him in the midst of them, and when he had taken him in his arms, he said unto them, whosoever shall receive one of such children in my name, receiveth me. And whosoever shall receiveth me, receiveth not me, but him that sent me. And John answered him, saying, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name, and he followed not us, and we forbid him because he followed not us. But Jesus said, bid him not, for there is no man which shall do a miracle in my name that can lightly speak evil of me.
See, you can't do miracles in Jesus' name and speak evil of him. You got to love him.
That's right.
And Sister George Whit used to sing song, what's his name? His name is Jesus. Yeah. You got to do it in the name of Jesus.
That's right.
And you'll come out all right. Thank you for being here on today. Continue to pray for all of our sick and our shut in. And we want to encourage others to come and be a part of our noonday as well as our evening service as well. Ain't no use in you looking for a crowd during this episode. So, but the faithful few will be faithful